If you feel like every time you sit down to study or work, you keep on getting distracted and you can't seem to focus, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to cover exactly how you can have monk-like, distractionless focus without compromising or exerting yourself too much. And I'm going to be using the principles from the book Deep Work by Cal Newport to explain this. All you need to do to gain from this video is just save this video and come back to it every so often so you can actually gain from it. Whenever we talk about work, we mainly categorize it into two main sections: deep work and shallow work. Shallow work is all of the work that doesn't require your 100% focus. This is the type of work that you can do whilst multitasking, such as watching TV or listening to music. Shallow work involves stuff like checking your emails or reorganizing your notes. These things don't actually require you to think hard, and this is what makes it shallow work. On the other hand, deep work is work that requires your uninterrupted and undistracted focus. This is the type of work that pushes your cognitive ability. Examples of deep work include stuff like solving a really hard math problem or writing a big essay. These are the types of work that you can't do whilst multitasking, such as listening to music or watching a TV show, and require your 100% focus to do them. In general, to stay focused and to achieve our goals that we want to achieve, we need to do as much of deep work as possible and cut out the amount of shallow work we do in our day. This brings me on to the next section of the video. Why is deep work important? Well, that's a very good question. Deep work is very, very important in today's day and age because every single good piece of media or good piece of work was produced by the act of deep work. Think about it. Bill Gates formed Microsoft because he was completely focused and in a state of deep work. J.K. Rowling wrote all of the Harry Potter books because she was in a state of deep work. Furthermore, all of the goals and aspirations that you want to achieve all require this uninterrupted focus and uninterrupted deep work. For example, getting a good score on the upcoming test or hitting a PR in the gym all require your 100% focus on the task. Interestingly, there's actually a very good formula that sums this up. It goes, high quality work produced is equal to the time spent times the intensity of the focus. Therefore, if you increase the intensity of your focus, you're going to increase the quality of the work you produce. And this is what we want. The second key idea of deep work is that it is very, very difficult to complete and do. This is because we are now living in a distraction-filled economy where every single product, such as iPads, iPhones, and laptops, are designed to take away attention from you and therefore take you outside this form of deep work that you want to achieve. Furthermore, apps such as social media also provide instant communication and instant gratification, which also take you away from deep work because they provide distractions and take away your time. Although this may sound like a really bad thing and a really difficult thing, if you can just focus on your work and produce deep work by what's going to be said in this video, you're going to get way ahead of your competition and just achieve your goals faster. The third key idea of deep work is that it is incredibly fulfilling to do. Cal Newport states that if you complete deep work, this will make you more fulfilled and more happy because this moves you towards your goals, as in a state of deep work is where you tackle the biggest problems, and therefore the biggest problems yield the biggest rewards. So you're just going to move towards your goals faster if you're in a state of deep work. On the other hand, shallow work is deceptively bad because it feels productive, such as emails feel productive, but they don't actually move you towards your goals and therefore make you less fulfilled or less happy. I have a personal experience of this because a couple of months ago, I wrote a set of exams called GCSEs. In the UK, they're like end of year tests. And in these GCSEs, I struggled in one subject in particular. This was English language. And in English language, I researched all of the YouTube videos on how I could get better on English language and how I could improve. And this got me nowhere. This didn't improve my grades at all. However, it is only when I started doing the act of deep work by practicing and doing practice papers is when I actually increased my grades, and my grades actually went up double than what they actually were, just because I started doing practice papers instead of watching these YouTube videos, which was shallow work. Hopefully I've convinced you that deep work is very important, and in these 3 sections I'm going to tell you exactly how you can implement deep work into your schedule. The first way you can implement deep work into your schedule is by planning it out. Now, as we discussed before, deep work is very, very hard to do. And to combat this, all we need to do to implement deep work is to plan it into our schedule. Now, keeping in mind that we're only really capped at around 4 hours of deep work a day, we should plan out this deep work before we actually implement it into our schedule. For example, if I want to complete, let's say, 5 practice papers in the next week, what I'm going to do is plan meticulously when I'm going to do these practice papers and what time it's going to be and what date it's going to be, so there's less friction for when I actually come to do the practice papers itself. This act of planning out deep work makes it so much more easier to implement, and it's really helped me when I was revising for these GCSEs a couple of months ago. The second main tip to implement deep work in your schedule is to create something called a distraction-free zone. Now, I think I have mentioned this in a previous video, which is basically when you remove all of the distractions from your area that you do deep work in, which makes it way more easier to focus on the task at hand. Cal Newport states that the behaviors you express are caused by your environment. For example, if I place a chocolate bar in front of me when I'm on a diet, I'm way more likely to eat the chocolate bar when it's in front of me compared to when it's in the fridge somewhere else. And this is exactly what you want to implement into your schedule if you want to do deep work. You want to create a distraction-free zone so that nothing can distract you for when you're going to go into deep work. For example, I chuck my phone away into a different room when I'm actually studying, so I don't get distracted by it constantly. Another way I try to implement this into my schedule is by creating a checklist. And this is when I have a checklist wherein I have all the stuff that I don't want to be around me when I'm going into a state of deep work. For example, if I don't want my phone around me, I check that off before I go into a state of deep work. The third and most long-term way of implementing deep work into your schedule is by training your focus. Now, Cal Newport states that beginners, which is probably you and me, can only really do 1 hour of deep work a day. Now, I know this sounds really low, but that's how it realistically is. We can't give 100% uninterrupted or undistracted focus for more than about 1 hour when we're first starting out. However, the easiest way to increase our focus is simply by experiencing boredom. Many people constantly stimulate themselves by, let's say, scrolling on social media or listening to music constantly. And these are all low, shallow tasks that force you to not experience boredom. However, if you have a particular section in your day where you're not going to do anything except just be bored, you're going to drastically increase the amount of time you can focus for. An easy way you can implement this into your schedule is just by having around 1 hour before your bedtime where you just experience boredom. And this will reap so much focus related benefits for your deep work, so you can produce higher quality work in general. Another way you can increase boredom is more extreme sort of methods such as dopamine detoxing, which are really hard to do but will reap so much more benefits than if you just experience 1 hour of boredom a day. The TLDR of this is just experience more boredom if you want to focus more. Some additional tips for your deep work is defining the metrics of success. And what I mean by this is know exactly what you're going to do before you start deep work. For example, if your task is a bit vague, such as learn physics, you're way less likely to focus for the full session compared to if you state that you're going to do topic 1 of electromagnetism in the physics chapter. The second additional tip that I use is using something called brown noise. Now, brown noise is a static sort of sound that you can listen to that blocks all the distractions around you. And this really helps me focus, especially if you're in a noisy household, because it just creates and adds to this distraction-free zone that you want to create. And this has just helped me a lot whilst focusing on deep work, such as talking to this camera, because I'm listening to brown noise right now. I will link the brown noise that I use in the description below. It's just a YouTube video that you can listen to in the background. The third additional tip that I use is having a deep work ritual. This is just something you say at the end of your deep work session that just symbolizes to your brain that your deep work session is done. This could be as simple as saying something such as all done at the end of your deep work session, which symbolizes that your work is done. This just allows you to relax more and for your brain not to think about the deep work session after you finished it. Now, I hope you're now equipped with the information that you need to hit this deep work state and produce more high quality work and focus more in your day-to-day life. If you like this video, please click the like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, click the subscribe one.